I never believed the stories about my apartment building. It was old, built sometime in the 1940s, with thin walls, creaky wooden floors, and a landlord who never answered questions directly. Whenever a new tenant moved in, someone would eventually joke, "Whatever you do, don't go looking for the second basement." Everyone laughed. I laughed too, because there was only one basement. Or at least, that's what I thought. For 3 years, I lived there without anything unusual happening. Until one rainy Tuesday night. Around 2:30 a.m., I woke up because I heard metal scraping against concrete. It wasn't loud. It sounded like someone slowly dragging a chair across the floor. The strange part? It was coming from below me. My apartment was on the first floor. Below me was the basement. I assumed someone was moving furniture. But then I remembered, the basement storage rooms had been locked for months during renovations. No one was supposed to be down there. I ignored it and tried to sleep. The scraping continued for almost 20 minutes. Then it stopped, exactly at 2:53 a.m. The next morning, I asked my neighbor if she heard anything. She looked uncomfortable. Then she asked, "What time?" When I told her, she quietly said, "Don't listen next time." That was it. She wouldn't explain. A week passed. Nothing happened. Then, Tuesday came again, 2:30 a.m. The scraping started. This time, curiosity beat common sense. I grabbed my flashlight and walked downstairs. The basement hallway was dark. The lights flickered constantly. There were dozens of storage doors. Every single one had a lock, except one, room B12. The door was slightly open. I was sure it had been locked before. Inside, there was nothing, just dusty concrete walls, old pipes, and a single metal ladder leading downward. That made no sense. The building blueprint in the lobby only showed one basement. There wasn't supposed to be another level. I pointed my flashlight down. The ladder disappeared into darkness. I remember standing there for almost 5 minutes arguing with myself. Go back upstairs. Or find out. Eventually, I climbed down. The air became colder, much colder. When I reached the bottom, I found another hallway. Cleaner than the basement above. No dust, no cobwebs, just smooth concrete walls. Bright white lights. It looked new. At the end of the hallway, there were 6 identical metal doors. Each one had a number, 1 through 6. Door number 3 was slightly open. Inside, there was a bedroom, completely furnished. The bed was made. A lamp was on. Someone had been living there. Then I noticed the photographs on the nightstand. Every photo showed the same man, standing outside my apartment building. Different years, different clothes, same man. One photo caught my attention. It was dated 1998. In the background, I could clearly see my apartment window, the exact same curtains I owned. That was impossible. The curtains had only been installed last year. I suddenly heard footsteps, slow, heavy, coming from the hallway. I turned off my flashlight immediately. The footsteps stopped outside the room. Someone whispered, "He's early." Another voice replied, "No. He always comes today." I froze. How could they know I was there? Then, one of the bedroom lights switched on by itself. The room was suddenly bright, but no one entered. The footsteps disappeared. I waited almost 10 minutes before leaving. When I climbed back upstairs, the ladder was gone. There was only solid concrete. No hole, no second basement, nothing. I convinced myself I imagined everything until the following morning. I found dirt on my shoes. White concrete dust, not the brown dust from the normal basement. I went to work distracted. During lunch, I searched the building's history online. That's when I found an article from 1976. Construction workers renovating the basement had reported discovering an undocumented underground structure. The article ended abruptly. No explanation, no follow-up. I checked the city archives. The building plans only showed one basement. Every version, even the oldest records, it was as if the second level had been erased. That night, I couldn't sleep. At exactly 2:53 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. No one spoke, just slow breathing. Then a voice whispered, "You weren't supposed to leave." The call disconnected. The number didn't exist when I tried calling back. The next Tuesday, I went back. This time, the ladder was there again. I climbed down. Everything looked the same, except now door number 4 was open. Inside, there was another apartment, almost identical to mine. Same couch, same TV, same kitchen, even the same family photos. Except, the person in every picture wasn't me. It was someone who looked almost identical. Same face, different haircut, different smile. On the dining table, there was today's newspaper, today's date. Someone had been there recently. Then I heard footsteps again. This time, they were running. I hid behind the kitchen counter. A man entered. He looked exactly like me. Not similar. Exactly. He walked into the apartment, sat on the couch, and turned on the television without saying a word. I watched him for nearly 30 seconds. Then, he slowly turned his head and looked directly at me. He smiled, then said, "You finally found us." I ran. I didn't care where. I sprinted through the hallway. Every door was now open. Inside each room, there was another version of me. Different ages, different clothes. Some were children, some were old, some were injured. Every single one stopped what they were doing and stared. None of them chased me. They only watched. I climbed the ladder as fast as I could. When I reached the basement, I slammed the door shut. The scraping noise started again. Only now, it was coming from behind the wall, like dozens of people dragging furniture at the same time. The next morning, I packed everything. I moved out within 3 days. I never went back. Months later, I received a letter, no return address. Inside, there was only one photograph. It showed my old apartment, taken from inside. Someone was standing at the window. It looked exactly like me. On the back of the photo, someone had written, "Room 4 is waiting." I burned the photograph, or at least, I thought I did, because last week, while unpacking boxes in my new house, I found it again, completely untouched, still sitting inside an envelope. I have no idea how it got there. And every Tuesday, at exactly 2:53 a.m., I still hear metal scraping beneath my floor, even though I now live in a house with no basement. The end.